Hello and welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. Today we have back here with us Al Shefsky. Al is CEO of Pele Mountain Resources. Pele can be traded as GEM on the venture, and it also can be traded as GOLDF on the OTCQX. Thanks, Al, for being here with us today.
Hi, Jeb. Thank you very much for having Pele Mountain back on your program.
Al, talk to us about some of the highlights from the updated uranium and rare earth resource update at your Eco Ridge mine.
Well, the new resource update that we just put out showed a major increase in uranium and rare earth resources. Really, this is a great deposit. There's just immense resource wealth in the ground up there in Elliot Lake. And we're showing big increases in uranium and rare earths, and that's just boosting our shareholders' exposure to those very timely clean energy metals.
Al, talk to us a little bit about the clean energy metals and why it's so important for investors to look at clean energy sources.
Well, Jeb, I mean, the world we live in today, you just have to be very conscious about carbon and, global climate change issues, and governments are regulating to reduce emissions and make automobiles lighter and more efficient, and just across the whole energy spectrum. So to really support that clean energy economy of the future, you need a supply chain that begins with a mine that can produce these advanced materials. And for clean electricity generation, you need uranium. I mean, your choices for baseload electricity are either coal or natural gas or oil or uranium. And uranium's the only one that will produce baseload electricity without carbon emissions. And then, on the rare earth side, there's so many really exciting applications in clean energy that depend on these rare earths. You're talking about hybrid and electric automobiles, the windmills, solar panels, high-efficiency lighting. These things have just tremendous growth profiles going forward. And so the demand for these rare earths, especially the critical rare earths, is just going to keep growing and growing rapidly. And those critical rare earths are in shortage. Like here in North America, we just don't have any. But at Elliot Lake, that was the place that was the most important source of the heavy rare earths for all of North America.
Al, let's talk about this race to develop these critical rare earths. How does Eco Ridge and being in the Elliot Lake Mining Camp, which achieved commercial production for over 40 years, what are the advantages compared to so many of the other projects out there?
Well, Jeb, it is a race. And right now China has them, but the rest of the world needs them. And China has imposed restrictions. I mean, you have to make a distinction between light rare earths and heavy rare earths. With the light rare earths, we're going to see enough supply coming on the market soon from Linus's big project and Molycorp's big project that's not going to be where the problem is. The problem is with the heavy rare earths, and that's where the race is to get production of these critical rare earths outside of China. And Elliot Lake really does have so many competitive advantages. It's a proven mining camp. It's the only place in Canada that ever produced rare earths in the past, but more importantly, it was the major source of these heavy rare earths for all of North America. And in Elliot Lake, we'll produce a combination of both uranium and rare earths. So the combination of the revenue from both of those important strategic metals is a strong competitive advantage. And then, we put out a preliminary economic assessment last summer showing that the economics for this project were very robust, and we have a really good idea about transitioning into the licensing and feasibility. There were 12 mines historically in Elliot Lake, so it's all been done before. And this is one of the great Canadian mining camps. And we're working with a team that includes people who have decades of experience in operations in Elliot Lake, and decades of experience. They were working on permitting and operations and decommissioning. Our vice president of Pele Mountain Resources. Our executive vice president is Roger Payne. He was the general manager for Rio Algom, and he was working in Elliot Lake for the past 20 years, so he knows what's going on there. So there's so many competitive advantages to working in Elliot Lake, and we have the benefit of all of that at Eco Ridge.
Al, before we conclude, let's talk about focus on the uranium. You in the press release, you indicated that the research from J.P. Morgan is indicating a target of in 2016 of $90 for uranium. How does that impact Eco Ridge and the start of production in the Elliot Lake Mining Camp?
Well, you're right, Jeb, and we were really excited to see that last week when they put out a report on Cameco, and J.P. Morgan in that report mentioned that their forecast for 2016 is for uranium to go back to $90. Well, that's a big move from where it is today. The spot price today is right around $40, so you're talking about more than a double. And historically, what we've seen over the past 6 years, when the uranium price takes off, Pele shares really take off a lot more, and it's that concept of leverage to a strong price in the move in the price of uranium. So we're very excited about that, and we're really looking for it. We believe that is the case. Like our economic model was basically forecasting a price of $70, which obviously is relatively conservative compared to what this recent forecast that came out of J.P. Morgan. And if J.P. Morgan is right, then it'll have a very beneficial impact on the economic model. So we're excited to see a lot of people in the market lately are starting to talk about this, the fundamentals of supply and demand for the uranium market are dictating a much higher price going forward. And historically, Pele shares have provided our shareholders with tremendous leverage to any big moves in the price of uranium. So it's an exciting time for our shareholders.
Well, Al, thanks for being back here with us today.
Thank you so much, Jeb. It's been a pleasure.